fine. Hello, Nail. I'm Bard Spartan077. I recently watched your response here to Venom Fang's Islam is Satan's evil religion. I'm not sure what the video was. Let me look here. Evil Islam created by Satan, the devil. I just wanted to make the point that I find that every time I watch one of your videos, you're trying to disprove Christianity with the Book of Islam, the Quran. And that's not very convincing to a Christian, because a Christian's not going to believe in that book in the first place. You got to use their own book against them. That's why a lot of the time I refer to the Quran when I want to try and disprove Islam, even though I don't take the time to do it a lot of the time. As far as the Bible, I only use the Bible to show what I believe and what it is, my theology, my theories, my ideology, that stuff like that. I recently watched another video by another guy. He was responding to a video by Ramio86. He responded to him saying that if you follow the prophet of your time, then you would be saved. So it seems like that the gospel, or the book, the Quran, has been revised constantly throughout each prophet. Moses, Jesus, Muhammad. If you consider all of those, then if you followed the prophet of your time, then you would be saved. Well, then how do you know how much time needs to go by in order to be able to figure out when it's been revised? Now, I'm not saying that the Quran is wrong because it's been revised, or the Bible is wrong. I'm saying that, how do you know? It seems like if you follow that prophet for a certain amount of time, it eventually gets flawed. And it seems like every time somebody needs to come down and revise, or come down and be able to tell you the new thing. And why would it be, if you go the other way around about it, instead of following what's new, why is it that it had to be revised in the first place? Well, I think that the way I see it, Christianity came before Islam. So that's why you see nowadays when people come and talk, Islam has a lot more to prove, because it is a relatively newer religion than Christianity. Even though Christianity came 600 years before, I would say that the fact that that little verse from 2 Corinthians seems to be a very popular one, because it states the fact that the devil can come to you as an angel of light, and of course the devil is the father of all lies. That's what it says in the Bible. As far as the Quran, it depends on what you believe and what verses you see in the Quran. So I know that argument may not be all as convincing to you, because that's a Bible verse based off of the Bible. Here's the problem. You went ahead, and I felt like you used a lot of circular logic, because you went back and asked him the same question about Paul and Jesus. Here's the problem. Muhammad had to speak to an angel in order to be able to learn the will of Allah. I don't know if that's completely correct, but that's what I understand out of the Quran. A lot of these prophets had an angel appear to them. Well, in the Bible, it doesn't have that. Moses spoke directly to God. Jesus spoke directly to God. And when Jesus ascended, he did not need any help. He ascended on his own, which was to, in the Bible, assert the fact that he was the Son of God. As far as Muhammad, he came to the Dome of the Rock, and that was his place of ascension, which I don't know what the story is there, but I felt like, from what was said, is that he needed an angel to help him ascend, or he actually ascended on his own. I don't know what the case was. But what is being said is that's why Christianity is so iffy about Islam in some cases, because you had almost every time something happens in the Quran, there's an angel that is involved, and oftentimes Christianity, a lot of people, especially within Protestantism, get very, very iffy about something like that, because if an angel is involved, you don't know as to whether or not that could be God or not. I mean, you don't have somebody just see an angel and then they know, oh my God, this is God. You don't have that. You have to be able to, it's like a friend or foe system. You don't have a friend or foe system. You don't have a heads-up display that says, it's a green light, yes, this is a friendly, or this is a foe. You don't have anything like that as far as religious fights, or any kind of, as far as the spiritual realm. You don't have anything that just signifies or identifies them right away. So that's why when somebody's speaking to God, you automatically will know whether or not it's God. Not all the time. Sometimes it becomes very, very vague. But, you know, like that, we have the same, Christianity has the same argument with Mormonism. Because Mormonism, they have a guy, and Mormonism is actually newer than Islam. It actually came around in the 1800s by a guy named Joseph Smith. And Joseph Smith says, wrote the Book of Mormon when supposedly at a very young age, the angel Gabriel appeared to him, and he asked him which denomination of Christianity is true. And the angel says, none of them, follow me. Now, based off his own book and all of Christianity, that's a new gospel in the first place. And they don't even claim that Jesus is the Son of God. So they've turned away from the gospel that's in the original gospel that's in the Bible. So even if he believed in the Bible and turned away anyway, based off of what an angel said, a lot of people are going to consider that a cult. And that's part of the reason why Christianity does not involve Mormonism as a denomination in their own in the Christian faith. The same thing comes with the Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses actually, I'm not sure what the deal is with Jehovah's Witnesses, so I'm not going to touch that issue, because I'm not going to use an issue and talk about it when I don't have any kind of information and data on it. It becomes inconclusive, so I'm not going to say anything about that. But Mormonism, I do understand. I have the data on that, and I know whether or not that is actually, in my own mind, true or false. And I consider it to be false as far as what I see and what I believe. I really don't know why even Joseph Smith decided to follow the angel in the first place. I mean, seeing the book in looking in the verse of Revelation, and he turns away. That's astounding to me. So I would say that that would not be a new gospel, and that was the devil in disguise. Now that's based off of my own Bible. But technically, by what you say, is that if there is a new prophet that comes and preaches another gospel, and an angel appears to them, would you take into account what he says? So Mormonism being the newer religion, I would say, would you take into account as to what he's saying, whether or not there is a new gospel or revised by God? This is assuming that Allah and God are the same God, which I see in the Quran that's not the case. It seems like the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is not the same as the Allah of Muhammad. But that's just of the little verses I've seen. I haven't read the whole Quran, so your understanding of the Quran is going to be very vague. I would say it becomes a very difficult issue when you decide that you're going to try and disprove somebody's religion by using something from your religion when they don't believe it in the first place. The prophets, when I look at the prophets, I see within my own religion that when an angel comes down, you could be deceived. As far as the prophets, whether I feel like, from what I feel from when you speak about the prophets, it seems like they are enlightened by God so that they cannot be deceived. They know the supreme will of God. But then why is it that an angel may come down and discuss it with them in the first place? Which is where I find a discrepancy. I'm not sure as to whether or not it's a misunderstanding on my part, but that's just something I've found as of late. It really depends on what you believe. And if you can explain that to me, then that's cool. And I don't have any quarrel with you. I just wonder why it is that that seems to be a discrepancy to me as of late. I will say, though, that I don't argue with any Muslim as to why they believe what they believe. I just want to be able to understand why it is that they believe what they believe. So hopefully you get back to me about that. I'm wanting to know as to whether or not the prophets of Islam, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, either had to speak to an angel to be able to learn God's supreme will, or if they had to be able to speak to God directly. So in the Christianity, most of the time they were speaking to God directly, or Jesus, because Jesus would be able to talk